If it is still more. Thank you for joining us in this panel named Public Resources and Public Sphere, Lithium, Serbia and EU. So today our panelists are going to be Sasha Pavlović, Senior Research Associate from the Institute of Philosophy and Social Theory, University of Belgrade, who is also originally from Jadar Valley or Loznica. So he comes as a researcher, but also as a local who is acquainted with familiar with the situation in the field. And Mirko Popović, who is a manager, political activist, and maybe it is better that you represent yourself.
Hello everyone, Mirko Popović, Program Director of Renewables and Environmental Regulatory Institute, civil society organization dealing with the environment and energy and climate in Serbia and Western Balkan region. So I'm not political activist.
Okay, thank you. And Jana Krstić, a PhD candidate at the University of Zagreb, Faculty of Philosophy, and also she is activist. And also active in student protests, but also I think familiar with these topics, especially this what we would call here in this panel as a neo-colonial agenda, which she will reflect on. So first I will start as before with some short introduction because I like chronology, but the problem actually started in Serbia, I would say, with mini hydro power plants. Then the first protests erupted around Serbia, especially in Eastern Serbia, and citizens protested because they thought that they were devastating rivers. And so after that, some mining projects were initiated in Serbia, and it raised really serious concerns in public. And but maybe and all over. Then we had also this foreign companies like Chinese Linglong producing tires, but also accused of polluting air and earth and the soil. So also they started, a foreign company started to explore different regions in Serbia for mining, but the biggest concern was related to the project of Rio Tinto. And it was like, it had like this snowball effect. It started as a small concern, and then associations were founded, mainly rooted in the local environment, and then more and more academic community included. And so we could say without exaggeration that these blockades and protests which were provoked by Rio Tinto project were preceded the student protests. So these were the first blockades. So this other mining project, which actually triggered maybe I would say rebellion in Serbia, including student protests, is it is they found out that it is that the other wall is a deposit of the largest lithium deposit, one of the largest lithium deposits in the world, and it is located in Western Serbia in Marčva. And so the deposit was discovered by the company Rio Tinto in 2004, and the project, it is believed that the project could supply 90% of European current lithium needs. So it is important. And the Serbian government granted Rio Tinto a permission in 2017. But then, as I mentioned, you can see one of the first these big rallies blocking Gazela Bridge, and so then these rallies and these protests succeeded in that but before that, also what raised our concerns is that the government changed the expropriation law and the law on referendum, and then or proposed to change these laws, and then this protest erupted, and in 2021, this was like the government withdrew this project, but then the government renewed, although the president and government promised that they will stop this project, seeing how many people protest and how an academic community and public. But in 2022, they renewed they revoked the project, and then they also stated recently that they want to continue their negotiations with Rio Tinto. So then the protest again started, and student protest, as you heard. So I will now go to my discussants and the panelists. So we had this can we start with the general thing? What is the most problematic thing here? Why so many protests? What do you find the most problematic here?
Thank you. Good morning. Wake up. Okay. I see that in previous instances you were energetic to ask questions. So I'll try to be very, very brief to leave space for questions. One point of contact, the essential point of contact for us here is that Serbia has something that EU needs, and that is lithium and bore. And Ukraine has something that USA needs, and that is rare metals. So both of us are in this way in a similar predicament with major Western powers exercising their influence to get a good deal. And there is some kind of political deal. So at least let's talk a little bit about what is it about and how should we perceive it? As a blessing, as a curse, as both, as neither, is it good for us? Is it good for them? Is it good for all parties involved or not? So in 5 minutes, I'll say like briefly, what is it about? I'll just sketch the role of each of these actors in the Serbian case, and I hope it's going to be open-ended so you can ask questions. One actor is EU, another element is Serbian regulations, then another element is Serbian government position, then it's the people, and then it's experts, okay? And then it's me personally for the last 3 sentences. EU, in a week ago, put this project of lithium mining as a strategic project of EU. So it gave it very high importance. A couple of months ago, Ursula published a strategic plan for EU to 2050. You know, how EU should develop strategically. And the strategy is to make itself less dependent on China and other players, but mainly China. And lithium is mentioned in this strategic document, adopted as what EU is aspiring to, 6 or 7 times. Okay, so it is in a way a big deal. At the moment, China produces over 60% of lithium in the world, and it's desperately needed for mainly for car batteries. So this is the EU position, and EU is very vocal about wanting to have this mine in Serbia. Regarding Serbian regulations are horrible, okay? Rio Tinto, the company, says we will do it according to Serbian laws. EU says we want the project, but so that it abides Serbian laws. Serbian laws are horrible. Ore rent at the moment is 3 to 4%, okay? Everything else you can extract. These 3-4% are not nearly enough to cover the ecological damage produced through mining. Some laws that should protect the environment, that should care about ecology, are either ambivalent or simply not pursued in practice. So even if Serbia has some laws that sound decent, the real practice of Serbia at the moment is very poorly taking care of environment. Therefore, for a rational person, and I consider myself a rational person, my wife would disagree, but most of my colleagues would acknowledge it. The regulations are bad, or Serbia is in a shape that is not capable at the moment to ensure that ecological damage is hampered. Okay. Third actor is the Serbian government. Serbian government made public and private promises that it will pursue this project. This is a big card for an authoritarian ruler whose chair is shaking from all these protests. It is a big card. For over 10 years, Vučić was milking the situation in Kosovo, giving a little bit by little bit concessions so he can maintain his influence in the West and be perceived as someone who is important for maintaining peace and for ensuring that Serbia and Kosovo are not in conflict. Now that ship has sailed, he sold bit by bit everything he could, and now he would like for the next 10 to 20 years to be the guarantor in front of European Union, the guarantor of this mining, which is needed for Europe to be independent. Therefore, Serbian government is eager, and they're always advertising it, that this is once in a lifetime chance for Serbia to prosper, that we will make billions and billions and trillions and whatnot. Okay, so this is the position of government. As I emphasized, it is mainly, you heard the term stabilocracy, which means as long as there is stability in the region, foreign leaders are not so much interested in changing the players. So Vučić wants to prove himself as a valuable player who delivers things for EU and West, and to maintain his power and influence. Fourth actor are the people. And if we are in a democracy, that should mean something. Overwhelmingly, in all the surveys, Serbian population is against this concrete project. Mining in itself is a different issue. There are mines in Serbia, there have been, but this particular project, people think that it should not go on because it has considerable risks. I will just add one more thing. So always there is well over 50% in any survey that are against it, both locally and in any part of Serbia. What is more, if you heard these days, or you know something, or you can imagine, this is a semi-authoritarian country where media and public discourse is very much oriented by the power elites. Okay, so people who are less educated, who are more exposed to public media, who are older, are usually those who vote for the government and who are more inclined to accept their views. So not only that majority of people are against this project, but a latest survey showed that around 90% of people who have like university degree and who have some access to independent media outlets are against this project. Okay, and this is the situation basically on the ground. And the fifth part is the experts. Serbian Academy of Sciences and some other institutions which were not historically very known for their anti-establishment views. On the contrary, have made several serious scientific and expert surveys, panels, publications in which they analyzed this project. And the overwhelming view of Serbian scientific community is that this project should not be implemented in its present form because it is too dangerous, too risky, too detrimental to the environment, and with very little to no benefit for the Serbian budget. And if you want, it's not in Serbian public interest to be implemented in its present form. It is too risky. It has too many technological attempts that are going to be tried for the first time in the history of mining. And, you know, probably if they try it in, I don't know, Switzerland, there is a chance that these first attempts would be done seriously. If it's done in unregulated country like Serbia, it is most likely that quite a few things will go wrong. Okay, so at the last few years, the government was pretending to have some kind of a discussion or debate or, but actually, if you look at the publications and everything, the views, experts say, don't do it. It is going to go wrong. It is going to create serious damage, and the risks are too high. And the last part is
second round.
Okay.
Thank you, Sasha. I know what you want to say. It's very important how it looks on the ground, really. But we will discuss it in the second round of questions. But I now give the floor to Mirko and also invite him to tell us what is so problematic with regard to European Union and Serbia regarding this project.
Thank you, Marija, and thank you all for interest for this topic. So, first of all, to clarify, Jadar project is not approved, neither by the Serbian government, neither by the European Union. So this project is not approved to be implemented. They need to obtain several permits in order to be approved in terms of implementation. The decision of the European Commission to declare Jadar project as strategic project is not approval of the project. The fact that certain entity from Serbia agreed and support this decision, we don't know what kind of entity, is still not approval of the project. At this moment, the project is in stage of approval of the scope and content of environmental impact assessment study. Rio Tinto applied for approval in September last year. In November, the Ministry of Environment brought decision and approved the project, even though there were several serious issues of concern. However, thousands of people, organizations, individuals, experts submit complaints to the decision in accordance with the legal procedure in Serbia. For more than 6 months, the government of Serbia, as second instance authority, did not bring decision upon these complaints. The deadline for issuing of decision was 30 days, and now it's more than 6 months that government did not issue any decision. The complaints postponed the final decision about the scope and content. So we are now in limbo about that. So first, I would like to get back to the title of this panel because I like it very much. And there is the first issue of concern, and the first problem is that actually in Serbia, public resources are excluded, are removed from public sphere. They are not the matter of serious, structured public discussion. We don't have public discussion how we will manage our natural resources or our public goods at all. And it was done by normative acting in terms of adoption of several legal documents which allowed such approach. I will present some of them. First of all, mining of resources such as lithium, boron, copper, gold, etc., are considered as act in public interest. If something is in public interest, then the government may declare such project as projects of national interest. If certain project is a project of national interest, then such a project could be excluded from several procedures. public procurement procedures. It could be speed up, etc., etc. Such projects are, for example, Belgrade Waterfront, Expo and National Stadium, Linglong Tire Factory in Zrenjanin, and similar projects which are in that sense excluded from public sphere, and certain legislation is actually cancelled in relation to this project. So any company that start to mining project of lithium and boron, it will consider that it is in public interest. What does it mean for ordinary people? It means that the state may allow expropriation of private property in favor of private companies. In practice, in Serbia, the companies may perform expropriation, and if certain persons, certain owners of the property is not satisfied with expropriation, may go to court. However, according to Serbian laws, company may approach Ministry of Finance and say, you know, it is very important for me to perform this activity. I need to speed it up. So please allow me to enter to the private property, and then we go to court and we'll see what will happen. It's happened for example, in Bor, it's happened that Zijin company actually trespass private property of certain people, and they are now on the court, but the company used this land for their purposes, and the owner cannot. And we don't know what will happen at the end. We don't have the most significant strategic documents that should be adopted in order to frame this public discussion and decision about what we are going to do with lithium and boron as public resource. First of all, National Development Plan. This is the umbrella developmental document that Serbia should adopt 5 years ago. And it was the opportunity for broad public discussion. Okay, what we are going to do. Other project, no matter if any one of us is in favor of the project or against the project, it is big infrastructure developmental project. So the place for discussion about the project is on the level of National Development Plan. But National Development Plan was never adopted. We don't have a strategy for management of mining and geological resources. This is the highly important document, the crucial document for management of mining and geological resources. But we don't have the document. And there was no public debate. Public debate is, as it is practiced in Serbia during summer, so draft document is now on the public debate. But we already brought decision that Rio Tinto will be approved, even though it is not approved yet. So this is the first. That's how the political oligarchy that captured the state. Tendentially, I want to say that state do something. State cannot do anything. Certain persons with their name and surnames and positions do that. So political oligarchy that capture institutions in Serbia, they overtook discussion about public resources and perform it in the discussion in the way which is in favor of private investment and their interests. Related to the level of the EU. So EU adopted Critical Raw Material Act in May last year. It is stated that each project to be implemented in EU or the third countries should apply the same sustainability, environmental and human standards. So it means that project in Serbia or in Congo or in Ukraine anyway, Latin should apply the same standards. European Union environmental standards cannot be applied in Serbia because of two reasons. First of all, our legislative framework is not aligned with the one in the European Union. The second, and this is highly important, Serbian administration, Serbian political structure, officials, inspectors, environmental authorities are not capable to implement laws, even though that we have the best ever company, the most benevolent company that come to Serbia and said, you know, we will apply the highest ever standard in the universe. Serbian authorities are not able to perform in favor of that. This is something which should be known. So particularly Serbian Ministry of Environmental Protection, particularly the Department for Environmental Impact Assessment, their capacities and their willingness and their integrity to apply laws are around zero. So Serbian authorities are not capable to protect Serbian citizens from harmful effect of this project. What are the concrete problems about environmental impact assessment procedure, which is procedure to prevent adverse effect before the project starts? So, according to RERI examinations, and according to documents they submit, Rio Tinto applied for environmental impact assessment study, but only for underground mine, not for ore processing facility, not for waste landfill. So only for one part of the project. According to our opinion, it is so-called project splitting or salami slicing. So they want to pass with the decision with just a part of the project. It is very important to have in mind, because if this part of the project is approved without consideration of environmental impact of the whole project, then the situation will be different. And I couldn't say the project is not approved, not only in front of you, but also in front of the international community. We have certain obligations once the project approved. It is quite different. The project splitting is very negative practice that happened in Serbia. Why it is problem? Because it may allow investors to start implementation without consideration of all environmental consequences. According to experts' opinions, risks such as particularly risk to underground water sources is not examined to full extent. Risks related to effects of the whole project are not assessed to certain extent. Risk of using of waste and waste landfill are not assessed to full extent, and the project developer did not provide enough information for public. Prior to this part, on the level of adoption of the plan for the project, health and demographic aspects of the project are not assessed on the level of strategic environmental impact assessment. To conclude for this round, what is not the last, but what is the problem as well, and the lack of public dialogue? Anyone who declare against the project will be from the side of the political oligarchy or their media, will be marked as traitor, as foreign mercenary, as enemy of the state. So that's you cannot have any kind of dialogue if you mark another side as traitor or foreign mercenary if the other side has different opinion. This is for the first round. There will be more.
Thank you, Mirko. And now I invite Jana Krstić. We were discussing here the role of European Union, and also we have this multinational company, Rio Tinto, which we were said it belonged to this is Australian company, but actually consortium. And so there has been a lot of talk in Serbia about actually Rio Tinto triggered the discourses on neocolonialism and fueled that kind of discourses. So being a PhD student engaged with critical thinking, what do you think? Is this a kind of reflection that it can be looked at as a policy, including neocolonial policy strategies under the umbrella of liberal capitalism? Does this make sense, or it is like exaggeration? And what do you think?
Well, thank you. First of all, I believe that totally makes sense, and that is actually what is happening here. As Marija said at the beginning, I will try briefly to give here a philosophical approach, since I'm a philosopher and this is actually the region of my study. And I will try to philosophically and briefly explain how neocolonialism is connected to all of this happening now in Serbia with the project Rio Tinto, but this is not working. I am trying. Okay, so we already said something about mining grant, and I would say the term is pretty much self-explanatory. You know, the mining grant is something that company should pay to the state, which territory it uses. So it is a fee, but in Serbia, it's often presented as a profit that we will make by giving this land to, for example, Rio Tinto and other companies to use our resources. But this is a common mistake because it is not a profit. In theory, mining grant should be actually the money that compensates for the destruction that mining causes. So the mining grant is not something that the money that we will profit from our resources, but is actually should be there for us to be able to actually compensate for the destruction that is left after the mining is done. So, for example, did it? Great. So I will try to now I will show you how other countries use mining grants. What you can see here is an example of Germany. This is a Lushatia region. I don't know. I'm not sure how to pronounce it, but here you have a text that is actually from their project, and it says, without exception, the Lake District will be created from residual holes in former open cast lignite mines, floated and transformed into lakes. Some of the emerging lakes have already reached their final water level, blah, blah, blah. So now they're working on it, and this is how it looks like when you use that money that you gain from the mining grant to actually prevent catastrophe further, and to actually do what is mining grant what is for. Use it for what it is for. And in Serbia, we have here the example that already Mirko and Marija mentioned. It's a bor. It's a Tilvaroš, or this is actually the name is Veliki Krivelj of this wasteland, and it is a toxic wasteland that is now where the Zijin company from China works. And since we have, as Sala already mentioned, pretty low mining grants that cannot cover the damage that this mining creates. So this is how it looks like today, and probably will stay like that because we use the money that we gain from it as a profit, not as a compensation for the damage. So when it comes to colony, you probably now think, okay, but this is the Serbia's decision. You don't. Okay, thank you. This is Serbia's decision. It's not colonialism because the Serbian government decided that it will use mining grant for something else, not for the damage control. But I would say that we have two layers of colonialism here, philosophically speaking. So first layer of colonialism, sorry, that we can see here is something that we can call the imposition of values. In this, it's important to state that we always hear from the government that there is a growth, that there is we can always hear like this this is a success, this is a growth, this is a development, we need to develop our country and our profit and everything. This is all like this neoliberal values and neoliberal sentences that we can hear every day from our government. But I'm not sure that these are the values that we chose, and I'm not sure that these are. Nobody asked us if we believe that we should grow, that we should have this like progress in this direction. So there is actually different kind of value. But we don't hear about that different values like a degrowth or something like that. That is actually really popular theory now in philosophy, but we don't have that approach because we think, and it's presented to us like this is the only way to be successful, to grow, to be like bigger, and these neoliberal values. But what is under that layer? Oh, yes. Second layer of colonialism is what we can call removal of political agency. Behind that value that is presented to us, we have what Sala was talking about actually is not asking about this mining or this project to everyone in the region of Loznica, for example, of Mačva, or everywhere that we are going to mine. So decision is making the decision. For example, now it's in the process, the decision for Rio Tinto project to be a strategic fund for European Union. They still have not decided yet, but they are considering it as a strategic project for European Union. And this decision is being made by the people from European Union, and they are not asking people from Mačva, for example, to participate in this decision making. So we totally removed political agency from the place that is actually going to be the most affected by this project, and we moved it to somewhere else where somebody else makes decision for their own profit. So these cars, for example, if we take lithium from Serbia and make electric cars, these cars are not going to be driven by the people from Serbia because those are expensive cars, and these cars will probably be driven by someone from European Union who has money to buy it. So we have this the lithium is a future, for example, because it is a sustainable source of energy, and it's important to because it's better for environment than fossil fuels and everything. But we must ask whose future it is, and at what cost, because until we are the part of the decision that shape our land, we are not building a better world. We are just repeating the old patterns with new slogans. As Marija said, this is neo-colonialism, but the pattern is old, but the slogan is new with the growth and everything. And it's always like we together build a better future, but it's never together. As the saying goes, we always look out for the black cats, but the orange cat is always the problem, the one that we are not paying attention. Thank you.
Oh, great, Jana. You received applause for this small presentation. And I will also would like the second round of questions, which will be, I think, commented shortly, and then we go to open the floor for you to pose questions. I will ask Sasha, because you're originally from Loznica, a part of which belongs to that area which is intended for this mining. So you know local how it functions on local, and how do people divide among themselves? Do they sell houses, stay there, decide to fight, or what's going on? What have you noticed?
Some people are selling houses, some don't. Some have sold and regretted it, others no. But that's not the point, and I really want to have time for discussion, so I'll do it in 2 minutes. I read in detail the feasibility study, and the paradox is, I mentioned Serbian regulation. Company that wants to do mining applies to the ministry, makes their own study. The company makes the feasibility study, and then the study is judged by the special committee appointed by the minister. Okay, this has been the state of regulation a couple of years ago. I don't know if it's the same now when they issued the feasibility study. Municipality of Loznica has around 600 square kilometers. In the study made by Rio Tinto, 1/5 of its territory will be directly affected by the mining. Okay, we are talking about an area that is agricultural and by European standards relatively densely populated in terms of agricultural lands. The study envisions removal of people. So you are physically removing the people from 1/5 of municipality, removal of cattle, removal of graveyards, okay, building new roads, putting new train tracks, affecting and shifting river flows to bring a huge amount of water, unprecedented to the best of my knowledge so far in this huge project, to cool down. Meanwhile, Rio Tinto was saying, well, you know, we are not going to go above ground, we are going to go underground. I read that it was originally designed and applied for above the ground. To finish, it is also an area of cultural, touristic, importance. It is a part of a thriving, more or less, but, a thriving human settlements. This is not some wastelands somewhere in the desert or high in the mountains. This is where people live. And to conclude, a little bit about these people. In 1941, this is an argument that so far has not been presented, to the best of my knowledge, to anyone. In 1941, these people did not welcome German troops who occupied Serbia. And I guess you might have an idea that occupying your land is perhaps not the best way to advertise yourself. So these people rebelled, and as a consequence, German command issued a command that for 100 Serbs will be shot for every German soldier killed and 50 shot for every German soldier wounded. They rounded up 2,700 peasants from this area and shot them dead, including also some miners, including cattle, and burning down the villages to the ground. Now, after 70 or odd years, and I'm not phrasing this through a nationalist argument. I hope I can phrase this through a humanitarian argument. Now, in this day and age, on this level of humanity, we want the descendants of these people to remove them from the very villages where they were shot at, if you want, by the descendants of the companies that, if you want, by Scholz and Ursula and highest officials. I would really like, and I believe still, because I'm naive, that there is a way of presenting an argument so that a person can understand it. I would really like next time when Scholz or Ursula come to Belgrade to take them there, to show them this place, and say, sorry, the Gettysburg speech, when Nico says, I'm about to consecrate this land, but those who died here consecrated this land. This land has a special importance for anti-fascism, for humanism, for whatever you want. And you cannot just move people from there and put it into a mind. Okay, this is one argument that I wanted to present from the local point of view. It's not who sells the house or not, it's what it represents, you know. Okay.
So I think that, okay, this is very important because it is actually present. This argument is present in the public and interpreted differently, or sometimes like nationalism, sometimes like Sasha framed it as like, basic human right discourse and so on. But I would like to ask Mirko to comment briefly. The problem with us is that actually we now generalize European Union, and as your Institute for Renewable Environmental Regulatory Institute has many contacts to officials from European Union, from ecological also organizations from European Union. You negotiate constantly with them. So my question is, how do you see it? You see, Ursula von der Leyen is not a European Union, Europe. Europe should be viewed like more plural, or what? What do you say?
Thank you, Marija. So I will say something which I believe is not popular today, but I am a huge fan of European Union. I believe in European values. I believe in European standards. I believe in the founding treaty. I believe that any country that wants to become a member of this community of standards and values should satisfy Copenhagen criteria. I stubbornly believe in that. And I agree that I cannot perceive the current president of the Commission as a representative of these standards and values. To remind you that last year, at the highest point of harassment against civil society organizations, against citizens in Serbia, in autumn 2024, Ursula von der Leyen visited Belgrade, and she had a statement. I cannot quote, I will paraphrase, but she said that Aleksandar Vučić is committed to the rule of law. And he actually, it is recognized by his deeds. In that very moment, many people were arrested. Many organizations, including my organization, were under hard harassment. I wouldn't call it smear campaign or negative campaign. If you are on broadcasting on television every day for hours and hours, if your private information are public, if you are denounced as traitor of the country, etc., etc., it is not a smear campaign. It is harassment. So at the moment, and this harassment, it lasts even today. When we are speak here now, people are on the blockade on the street. Some of them are arrested. Some people, and I always remind wherever is possible, people in the village called Krivelj near Bor, by this mining pit, they live under the shadow of heavy machines and under the shadow of the high dam that may destroy their village every day. So in such circumstances, I cannot agree with someone who said that president who first of all overtake competencies from other branches of power, from the government, from and other. I couldn't agree that he is the one who is committed to rule of law standards. You should be aware that rule of law standards and European standards that I am so in favor of, these are not only principles. It has a very practical implication of our everyday life, our property, our health, and our right. If rule of law standards are not applied, then we have consequences. Every individual in Serbia have consequences related to their rights, to their freedom, to their property, to their health. In that terms, I completely understand communities from around the other valley for their for the reason why they are against the project, because about some future situation, you may assess what will happen according to previous history or to previous experience. Our experience in last decade with political oligarchy that captured the institutions in Serbia is that they do not apply rule of law standards, that they breach the laws, and they misuse competencies for interest of private for private interests, either their private interests or interest of their companies. People suffer because of that. So I deeply understand why people from Jadar Valley are against this project. I would not go in arguments. What are the arguments? But I will, as a member of the civil society community in Serbia, I will always step in defense of those who express their opinion. So I would always say every citizen has the right to express opinion, even though this opinion should not be based on some scientific arguments. It doesn't matter. People could be against. But what's happened, to go back to issue of the European Union? First of all, as I said, I'm not sure who at this moment is the European Union. My impression is that we have to negotiate or to communicate with different interests, different economic, political interests. At this moment, I believe that the political strength of certain European Union members of certain countries prevails against the power of European Commission or European Parliament or any other European institution. Just to remind you about the procedure, how this decision about strategic project was brought and what was the procedure. This procedure, from my point of view, is not aligned with European democratic standards and with Aarhus Convention, which grant access of public to decision making. So the process goes like this. I will explain it in simple. The project developer, in this case Rio Tinto, submit application to the specific committee established by European Commission. The specific committee of experts then brought decision in accordance with the submission of the project developer. What about public? What about opportunity of public from the European Union or from third country to participate? No. There was no opportunity for anyone outside of this relation to submit something to say, you should take care about this and this and this. I will just let me just to three example why it is important, because the project developer, according to Critical Raw Material Act, first of all, he was required to present that project is technically feasible in reasonable time frame. I would remind you to the beginning of my intervention when I said that government of Serbia is not capable to broad decision about complaints for more than 6 months. How come that project developer convinced this expert committee of European Commission that he is capable to implement project within the feasible and predictable time frame if government is not capable to broad simple decision for more than 6 months? How he present and who was those people in this experts committee that they are? I wonder if they are not aware that just 2.5 years ago, government of Serbia canceled the project in January 2022. Government of Serbia said, "Okay, we will cancel the project," and then 2 years after, someone would like to convince us that there is a predictable time frame. There is no predictability in anything in Serbia. Give me so for one example, particularly for those who come in for Serbia, and also for those Serbia now is construct the highway, and the part of the highway which goes from Čačak to Požega. I promise that I will mention Čačak on this panel. So it is a small part of the few, I don't know, 20 or something kilometers. But the commission, the special commission, which according to the law should sign the minutes that this part of the road is safe, the committee of experts refused to sign this document. Nevertheless, the government decide to open this part of the highway. So this is about predictability of safety measures in Serbia. So the president want to open highway less than just after we had tragic accident in Novi Sad. He decided to open the highway even though safety experts said we are not going to sign these documents because it is not safe. This is about predictability in Serbia. Second is about standards. And the third is that also applicant that submit the project to European Union his task was to convince the committee that he can mitigate, that he will be able to mitigate corruption risk, both internally in the company and externally in the state of Serbia. How anyone on the level of European Union could believe that corruption risk with this political oligarchy in Serbia could be mitigated? I wonder, and I asked that, okay, how come that someone believe that it is possible? If you read the last rule of law report published yesterday for Serbia, you will see how European Commission assess state of corruption in Serbia. I believe that it is a strong evidence that such corruption risks are not capable to be properly managed. So there are many actors on the level of European Union, and I strongly believe that it is highly important to maintain dialogue with them, even with those who are pro-project, to provide them with information, to provide them, to face them with arguments, and to maintain this discussion, because there is no one Europe and one European Union. There is no one point. There are several and many points to be contacted, and I believe there is no reason to withdraw from the dialogue, even though if we disagree. I think it is important for the sake of prevention of negative consequences.
So last question for Jana, and then we open the floor for discussion. So how this protest against the lithium mining and ecological protest joined student protests, and they are welcome in student protests. So how do you comment that? And then we open the floor for your...
Yes, I will be really quick because I really want to discuss with all of you these problems. But yes, how they are connected. Because first of all, I don't know if I mentioned earlier, but colonialism is not possible without the collaboration of domestic decision makers. So we cannot have European Union exploiting all of this without the collaboration of the local government in Serbia. As we already mentioned, Vučić regime is collaborating with European Union in this project, and they need stabilocracy. They need this government to be the ruler of Serbia in next few years while they're exploiting lithium from Serbia. And they already know that that students are not really happy about this idea. The students are not supporting this project in these conditions that we were talking about. So they know that if the students won, for example, this current revolution in Serbia, that they will not have a support for this project. And that's why I think yesterday on Bjeran's presentation, we had that message written in the protest in Rijeka, if I'm correct, that why are you silent, and zašto li, and li is sign for lithium, zašto li ćutite, which means why are you silent, because as we already mentioned yesterday, European Union, I'm also a fan of the values of the European Union, but I'm not sure that the current establishment of European Union is a fan of the values of European Union. So that's actually the problem, and that's why they are being silent. So that's why students understand all of these issues, and they are against all of this, against the project of Rio Tinto, because they know that the Vučić regime and the European Union is collaborating in this regard. So thank you. I hope that this sums it up.
Thank you. There were many questions we didn't address, like transnational aspects of this protest. I will just briefly say that we are organizing many now. Academic community became also very active in this. And for instance, at our institute, Sasha's and mine, we organized one online conference, and many researchers and activists all over the world joined. And it is amazing how similar problems we have. People from Latin America and also from Africa and from other peripheries of Europe. So it was like now transnational network, which should be maybe addressed in another panel, but it is also interesting to comment. So we open the floor for your questions.
Okay, thank you very much for your presentation and overall for bringing, let's say, a bit environmental context for us. At least I didn't know that much about this problem, so thank you for it. And moreover, I'm myself, I'm kind of, let's say, PhD student, and I am into environmental crimes, let's say. And I was wondering, overall, I will ask a more long question, okay? If you know, then tell. If no, it's totally fine, okay? But overall, I was thinking how can we protect, let's say, human rights also future generations, considering what's going on currently. And moreover, human rights for healthy environment, which has been recognized by UN and so on. And recently, even the European Court on Human Rights, it also kind of acknowledges that they have jurisdiction in order to for such cases, for climate changes, at least. So I was wondering, from what I know, Serbia doesn't have separate crime of ecocide, right? But maybe do you have any other environmental crimes, and you can somehow bring to, I don't know, for your prosecutor of this context, and maybe demand to open criminal proceeding and against separate private actors, which is doing or might do such a destruction for environment. And also do you have maybe any separate agency or any specific unit of the office of your prosecutor in order to investigate such cases, in order to investigate environmental crimes at least? And yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. This whole situation reminded me this Bosnian case, which was studied, or the artistic work was done by Damian Arsenjević about this Hak chemical plant, which was also colonized essentially by the Polish company this time. And I have a question tied to it. To which extent this colonialism is really Western in those terms, and to which extent there is something about this social economical structures and certain impositions. Yeah, thanks.
And then
yeah. Hi. Thank you for a really interesting panel. I haven't known many of the details that you've put out. And for this the question goes to Alexander. You said at the beginning that basically there are some similarities between the position of Ukraine and position of Serbia of having rare metals, minerals, and lithium, and that basically the US wants the same in the same way that the EU wants lithium. So in this parallel, it's so the US kind of blackmails Ukraine into taking the minerals. Otherwise, they'll just give it away to Putin. So who's at the other side of this kind of blackmailing of the EU? In that position, what is EU blackmailing Serbia with? Is it also kind of opening it more to the Russian influence, or is it you'll remain outside of the EU? Because an additional problem is when you said all of this. Problems with laws in Serbia is basically that those companies will be operating in in a legislation which is not up to EU standards, which means basically if you don't support the project, you won't enter the EU, but you cannot enter the EU because they have such laws against the environment, because those laws probably can't pass, the negotiation process of the environment questions and so on and so on. So I've seen that basically what the EU wants in that situation is to kind of keep Serbia in a limbo, somewhere between EU and the East, and kind of maintain this, as you said, basically stability. So my question is, what's the EU blackmailing Serbia with if they don't kind of make the concession towards accepting this agreement? Thanks.
Hi. So thank you for your panel, and I think it's more of a question of a comparative analysis on my side. So my family comes from a region of Bakota, which is banks of Dniester River, and there were 60 villages located in the regions, and all of them were drowned after construction of a hydroelectric power plant during Soviet times. And I mean, back then this project wasn't stopped from the implementation, and now we kind of face the situation of all this history and like background being just buried under water and mud. So the question is, maybe you have some insights on how this can be dealt with after the project was already implemented. Like, what steps can you envision as in terms of preservation of this legacy of those people? Thank you.
We had Ivan Rajkovic in IAS for a semester, and he's dealing with similar issues, but with this micro water power stations. And the stories were quite interesting in the sense that he was trying to tell us that, of course, resistance was strong in certain places, but not that strong in other places, because in some places, actually, the local population has no other employment opportunity, and basically they consider this kind of structure still some sort of opportunity. And it was also interesting that where the resistance was strong and Belgrade intellectuals were kind of mobilizing in some sort of dialogue with the locals, then the question of what to do after they win was also a quite serious question. So in some places they managed to get rid of these projects, but then they had very little idea of what comes next. And the one of the stories that he was telling is that they try to build an eco village, yes, and which is like nice, but you cannot turn whole Serbia into eco village, yes. And I think it was to a certain extent rather naive or rather kind of romantic and in fact romantic nationalist projects about this kind of organic nature that can be somehow restored. So my question is that, okay, we are fighting against this, and I think we should fight against them, but what is the kind of vision of people who are rejecting this in terms of what to do with the huge disindustrialized regions in Serbia where there is pretty much nothing, yes? And I mean, like, it's very, very hard to kind of think through what would be the kind of alternative to this kind of extractive economy, because what else Serbia is offering to the global market? Actually lithium, because all these powers are fighting for lithium. I mean, like, you don't offer rakia because nobody would buy rakia from you in that quantity. So I mean, like, so my question
Okay.
Should I? Okay. So thank you for your question. First of all, to refer to your question about the legislation related to environmental crimes. You are right. Serbian criminal code is not aligned with the current development, particularly with the development on the level of United Nations. So the right to safe and sustainable environment, but it is not still adopted even on the European Union level. Serbian constitution recognized the right to clean and healthy environment as a human right. It is Article 74. But when it comes to pollution as criminal deed. We have in our criminal code, we have qualified criminal deed, pollution of environment. But what is the problem? I'm not a lawyer, but I asked my colleague to clarify. So if the pollution of environment, of air, soil, or water result with health damage to certain people, it is not then qualified as a higher level of criminal deed. So the polluter will be responsible only for pollution of environment. What is the problem in practice? My organization, we have several court cases related to criminal deed of pollution in environment. As far as I know, the one sentence is brought in Bor, but it's still first instance about the pollution of environment as a criminal deed. The fines or the sanctions are very weak. We had a situation, a specific case, pollution of river Mali Pek by Zijin company. It's happened 2 years ago. So we collected evidences. We present evidences to the court, and basically our claim was accepted, but surprisingly, the company was not sentenced, but they were offered with, it is called the principle of opportunity in Serbia. If you, to a certain extent, the polluter say, yes, I did it, but he will not be sentenced. He will have criminal record, but in that case, he was forced to pay around 1 million dinar. It is less than 10,000 euros in humanitarian purposes. And he's not written down in criminal record. If you are in criminal record, then your next criminal deed will be treated differently. Now we have the second case of the pollution of air. We have first instance sentence, but we are waiting for the final verdict. So the penalty policy is quite weak. This is the problem. We have strong, as you might know, we have very strong pressure on judiciary and prosecutors, particularly those on local level. They are under very strong pressure from, I don't know, from company, from the state. Some of them are brave enough to do their work properly. And on the other hand, the practice of we had a case in Zrenjanin related to Linglong factory. So they construct an object without construction permit. It is criminal deed in Serbia, according to criminal code. We find out that the object is, it was the object for, sorry. So, okay, so that's it about criminal. I thought that examples are good enough to clarify the situation. Just I want to refer to the vision of development. Yes, it might be the ideal vision of the Serbia as country where organic food is produced, etc., etc. But to go back to the beginning, the vision of development should be developed through institutional dialogue as it is defined by the laws, strategies, development plan, etc., where all the people will be capable to participate equally. And then we can say, okay, we have some kind of a common vision of development. Since we don't have that opportunity, the development which is based on extractivism, I consider is not a choice of the people of Serbia, but the choice of political oligarchy.
Jana, would you like to answer this question about colonialism? Do we recognize it elsewhere than only in the West?
While trying to define colonialism and patterns in which colonialism work, in philosophers really try to avoid using terms like Western, Eastern, this country, that country. They only use terms like power, decision making. So as an example, we had like in Soviet Union, while exploiting, they flooded the region and everything. That was not. It doesn't matter if it's the country from the west or from the east. What matters is that is the people who are making decisions, who have power, are exploiting on those who do not have power. And to answer your question quickly, what do we do now after the damage is done? Well, we fight for transitional justice. That's the only thing that we can and should do in these situations. Thank you.
Thanks. For Sven, I draw similarities. I did not imply equivalence. Okay, so I don't think there is this direct EU blackmail, if you want. Okay, it's more like what you said about the limbo. They constantly say it's like the Zenon paradox. This project will bring you closer to the European Union. Is it not easier to admit us in the European Union, and then we can have joint strategic projects within the European Union done through European standards? Okay, that would be one way to answer it. Another way would be, Althusser ideology. Is it what you profess or how you act? Yes, there is no this direct strong arming that you broadcast through public networks. But if the effect is the same, you are small and you will do what is in my interest instead of what is in your interest, then the effect is pretty much similar, and then everything else is just choreography. Okay, but I believe what you said about the limbo, this is how a lot of people feel, and it could also explain the protests, the young people, the EU skepticism, and so on and so forth. Never end the game. And another thing was for Balázs about yes, you are right. I am not a priori and unconditionally against mining of lithium. I am simply saying that everything that we have at the moment is that when you calculate cost and benefit, this will be detrimental. If we can first, you can include everyone, me, citizens of Serbia, EU, if we can improve Serbian regulations and the whole setting of the country, if we can ensure that most of the most of lithium will remain, that will be obligational, remain in Serbia to be processed into batteries, then it ensures certain profit for the people. If you give people decent conditions for participating in that work or moving, the locals, then it makes sense. If you commit to have some kind of electric car industry in Serbia, and you invest in it, then you can say reasonably, this is now the benefits are going high. Then okay, if we need to take a bitter pill to make it happen, let's make it happen. But again, on the overall level, if people would rather be poorer, I don't think that's the greatest crime of all times. Even if people make a poor decision and say, okay, we don't want this big thing. I'll conclude with one example is Greek islands. You have tons of Greek islands that wanted to have an airport, okay, that wanted to develop tourism that brings them a lot of money and so on. And you have Greek islands that decided they don't want airports, they don't want flights, they don't. But this is decided on their local level. I don't know who is right, and I don't know if people don't want it at the moment, who is to say that they must do so? Okay, that would be just another one.
So are we going to close now or collect if there are any questions? Okay.
The last slide of my presentation.
Can I have a comment before you close it? Sorry. So I have 2 points. First one for Maxim. When we talk about the colonialism in Serbia, we are very rich in that sense. So it's not just the western part, it's also the eastern part by China, which the panelists mentioned, but we also have United Arab Emirates who are very, very invested in Belgrade waterfront and stuff. So we have colonialism from all over the world. We're not discriminating anybody. That's the first thing. And the second thing regarding what Balázs was saying, especially the place where lithium is probably going to be mined, it's very rich agricultural land, and it's very, very, there are various agricultural species and everything that we are actually doing there, and that we can produce and we can export. So there are a lot of alternatives. This is, as Sala said one time, this is not a wasteland. This is not some abandoned land. This is very rich agricultural land that is producing a lot of different products to Serbia. It's literally feeding Serbia. So this is very important to have this kind of agriculture still, and to preserve it, not to just waste it as some mining fields. So yeah, that would be. I
would just like to add, I really recommend this book, Slow Down. You can find it in the library just around the corner. It has all these theories, and also really important to know the last one that I had here is article about community benefit agreements. Actually, in Finland, for example, they include community in which they live. For example, in our case, that would be Loznica or region around the Jadar region, Jadar project, where they need to ask local community what do they think, and they include them in decision-making process, and that works. So we have that examples actually, and that is the condition in which we would agree to, for example, mine lithium in Serbia.
Okay, I will give the last word to Mirko, because he's working at the Institute for Renewable Energy. And to ask you to give us a little bit of, prospects for the future.
I want to refer that Sal said that what is important, the communities may choose not to develop or to be poor, but I believe from the perspective of principles of the rule of law, neither the community or any political power can choose to implement project out of environmental standards. So if the project is not possible to be implemented in terms not to destroy the environment, then the decision between whether we will develop or not is not the matter. It is something that cannot be implemented, full stop, because of the fact that you cannot guarantee the environmental standards. What is the bright future? The very source of the problem is not in the fact that we have or do not have lithium in Jadar Valley. The source of problem is erosion of rule of law, is political or oligarchy that capture institutions. If we want to open the possibility for sustainable development, if we want to open possibility for using our resources, not for sustainable or green mining, because something like that doesn't exist at all anywhere in the world. It is not possible to greening the mining process. It affects environment. But if we want to maintain and to use our resources sustainable, we need to have accountable government. We need to have people on power who are accountable to citizens. We need to have parliament that may perform oversight of executive power. We need to have president who is not acting out of his competences. We need to have independent judiciary. There lies the problem of there lies the problem of environmental, energy, sustainability policy and any other policy. So accountable government first, rule of law first, then we can discuss how we will manage our resources. The need for resources, even on the European level, it is not the need for next few years. It is at least until 2050.
Thank you. So the rule of law. Okay, thank you for being with us at this panel and for discussing with us. And I hope that you got some information, more information, and that you are now better informed about what is going on. And so, the fight continues and we will see what happens. We don't know. Thank you.